All right, back on Get Up. We are 8 days away from the NFL draft, and recently the 8th pick has produced some very good players. The Falcons have picked there a lot, each of the last 3 years, actually. And they have drafted Michael Penix and Bijan Robinson and Drake London. The Panthers, who select 8 this year, once upon a time took Christian McCaffrey, number 8 overall. So that would be interesting. That would be the best case scenario for them, would be to draft a player that good. We're doing best case scenarios today, and so Louis Riddick, my partner on the draft coverage a week from tomorrow night, I've been sort of trying to put together some best case scenarios. And to me, for the Cowboys, the best case scenario would be for Ashton Jeanty to fall to them at number 12. I've been following the mock drafts going all the way back to when they began at the very end of the NFL regular season. In the early part of that process, Ashton Jeanty's name was being associated with the Cowboys left and right. And now all of a sudden he has vaulted way past that. Nothing has happened. Nothing has changed. He hasn't played a game. But all of a sudden now I'm seeing him mocked in the top 10 basically everywhere, most frequently to the Raiders at 6.
Yeah, that's why. That clip will get to 12. He shouldn't get past 6. He shouldn't get past 10 to Chicago. Think about Chicago behind this new interior 3 that they've comprised on the offensive line, with with the kind of play calling that they're going to have with Caleb Williams. I think that is a scenario where you could literally be saying this: Ashton Jeanty could be pushing to break Eric Dickerson's rookie rushing record. You give him enough touch, plus 10 yard in the run game. This guy had plus 60-yard runs in college football, the way some guys would dream of producing plus 10-yard runs. And it's not a fluke. So there's no way he should get to Dallas at 12. There's just no way. He's too good for that. And I know it's running back, and I know you and I and Mel and Peter are going to have this discussion. But the emphasis in the NFL, see, I'll tell you what, Saquon Barkley has changed a lot of things for a lot of people this year. Okay, what he showed you was this. All year long, what do we talk about multiple times on this show? Jalen Hurts isn't producing the big outside the number, plus 20-yard explosives down the field, right? And we're sitting here going, but they don't really need him. You know why? Because 26 is doing it. Now, I know people will say, well, look at the offensive line that he had. Well, no kidding. Every good running back has a good offensive line. Give Ashton Jeanty that kind of offensive line, he'll give you that kind of production. He is a difference maker. Did Detroit need Jahmyr Gibbs?
No, and he's been amazing.
No. Would you give Jahmyr Gibbs back?
No.
If you were Detroit? But what I'm saying, it's the timeliness of the explosive plays. It's the game-changing nature.
And they took Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round. Go ahead.
Right. So in this particular draft, teams are in love with the running backs all the way through, like a deep and excellent running back class.
Yeah.
I think Jeanty's probably special, right? He sets himself apart from the rest. But if you're Dallas, and you're thinking, well, 2nd and 3rd round running backs are going to be difference makers this year too, then you might maybe Matthew Golden, the receiver at 12. Now you've got your number 2 receiver. You get your running back a little bit later. I think that makes a lot of sense. Sure, if Jeanty falls to 12, maybe, because the reason Saquon Barkley changed things, and Lewis hit on it, is not because we were undervaluing running backs this whole time. It's because Saquon Barkley is a game-changing, difference-making player. It just happens to play running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is a home run hitter at the running back, but they drafted him thinking 3rd down weapon, all these kinds of things, not just running back. So if you have that guy and he can produce on a level that the wide receiver we might take wouldn't, then that makes sense.
That's the thing. And look, I'm not saying this applies to all running backs, okay, clearly. But Jahmyr is different. Jeanty is different. Saquon is different. And if you believe that this guy can wind up kind of like mitigating and softening the blow of not maybe having some of the explosives come other places, you take that. I don't care if he plays tight end.
Right.
If you believe he can do that, that's what you do. Obviously, it's all a gamble. It's all about forecasting future performance. But look, Ashton, knowing the kid.
He's not. I mean, there's legit 2 or 3 teams that might take him in the top 10.
I just love the running back conversation, that's all.
No doubt. But my thought is take Matthew Golden, the best year that Dak.
Wide receiver, Texas, who ran a 4.29 at the combine.
And then you can have him opposite of CeeDee Lamb, which you have a ton of cloud coverage around CeeDee Lamb. We all know he's the main matchup you got to stop with this Dallas Cowboy offense. In 2021, when the Dallas Cowboys also had Amari Cooper, a great wide receiver 2 to that offense, Dak Prescott threw for 37 touchdowns. I got that for him, but shout out to him. Amazing stat because it makes so much sense. If you have that second guy, you can't cloud. You can't double CeeDee Lamb. You got to account for this kid as well. Now, if Ted McMillan's there, then you go with whichever receiver you like the most. But ultimately, I prefer Matthew Golden. He's a route technician. He ran a 4.29. You have that top end speed where you can take the top off and then you can have CD do some interior stuff. That's hard to stop.
I don't think that's on the rundown, the whole discussion about Ted McMillan.
Right, Tedero McMillan.
If he's there, that's
wide receiver.
That's going to be another great discussion.
Yeah.
Ooh, like last year when I saw him play against Arizona State, I'm sitting there going, that was like in 2023, I'm going, this is the Blitnikoff Award winner. This guy's going to be a top 5 pick. And now there's just a bunch of other questions about some of the things that he has said, some of the way, his commitment to football starts to move down. You know exactly why.
Every sense I'm getting is that it is going to start to move down, even though he's probably the most talented receiver. Super quickly. I got Jet fans telling me that if Ashton Genty is there at 7, the Jets should take him. Will they?
Breece Hall is going to have his contract up soon, obviously. You can say this guy's even better than Breece, and we can get a new start on this. But I don't know if I would take running back if I'm the Jets.
Okay. Tonight's NBA play-in tournament game. And we're going to do some best-case scenarios today. Let's start with the Giants because they feel like they're in the middle of all of this. But we'll work our way through a bunch of different teams. So, Louis Riddick, here's what I have identified as what I think is the best case scenario. The Giants take Abdul Carter at 3. Then, if some of these things that I'm hearing come to fruition and Shedeur Sanders starts really sliding down the board, the Giants trade up maybe to 25 to get in front of the Rams, trade up with the Packers, who might be willing to move out of the first round, trade up to get in front of the Rams, and take a sliding Shedeur Sanders somewhere in the 20s. If that happens, it feels to me like that would be an overwhelming best-case scenario, and as ridiculous as it sounds to say, I don't think it's out of the question.
No, I don't think it's out of the question either. You totally could see that being a situation that they'd be more than happy with. Because yeah, I think they'd be ecstatic with as long as, obviously at the number 3 pick, if Abdul Carter is there and they wind up taking him, he winds up giving them the return that they want, meaning he becomes a double-digit sack guy, a 12, 15 sack guy per year, which we're all projecting.
Is he Micah Parsons waiting to happen?
Yeah, you know what? He is. He has that kind of potential. He has that kind of get-off. He has that kind of explosiveness. He has that kind of versatility where he can play off-ball, he can play on-ball. He asked to play defensive end this year because he wanted to do the same things that Micah did. He saw how lucrative of a decision this could be and how impactful of a decision it could be. Yeah, look, and if Shedeur, if you wind up picking him, you move back into the first round and you wind up picking him, he becomes a decades-long franchise-caliber player that winds up winning you division titles. It was a slam dunk. It was a slam dunk draft for them.
Is Shedeur? Am I living in a world, Dan Graziano, where Shedeur Sanders could be available when we get to the 20, 21st, 22nd pick?
I don't think it's out of the question at all. I mean, look, if he slides past New Orleans at 9, then where's the spot? Like we were talking earlier, the next team that really you could even make an argument for would be Seattle at 18, Pittsburgh at 21. So, yeah, absolutely. If he's not the guy, Lewis said it before, quarterback evaluations are subjective. Like if he's not the Giants guy, right, then their best case scenario is Carter at 3 or Hunter at 3, whichever, and then trading back up to get whoever that guy is, right. Tyler Shuck or Jalen Milroe, whoever. But that's the whole point of these private workouts they're doing this week is to sort of order their board.
Yeah, and look, Lewis has been high on him the whole draft process. I had a GM tell me that Tyler Shuck is the best pure thrower of the football. Another GM tell me I would have Shedeur Sanders be my quarterback for the next 10 years if we didn't have ours. Baskin Robbins, what I always say. There's 31 flavors. There's a lot of different quarterbacks, and there's a lot of different GMs and coaches who have different preferences.
So I saw you sitting next to me here, EJ, shaking your head vigorously. You don't think that Shedeur will be there. So let's live in a world where he's not. Let's live in a world where he's long since off the board. If you're the Giants and you have a mandate for whatever reason to get a quarterback here, which one are you coming up then to get? Is it Jackson Dart? Is it Tyler Shuck? Is it Jalen Milroe? Which one do you want?
Well, how would they come up, though? Because if they take Abdul Carter at the 3rd pick, they would just have to pick the quarterback in the 2nd round, which I think is a safe spot to take a quarterback.
We think all those guys are going to be there in the 2nd. We think Tyler Shuck will still be there. We think Jackson Dart will still be there.
Shuck won't be there. Dart won't be there.
Well, so this is what I'm saying. So if you want to get one of those guys.
Ooh, that's tough. That's where you can see Jalen Milroe potentially coming.
Which one do you want? You're bored. The EJ Manuel board.
You're buying time.
You're bored.
Jalen Milroe. Give me Jalen Milroe because of this situation. You got Russell Wilson there.
Okay.
You got Jameis Winston there. You got 2 veterans, right? So those guys are going to be on the roster. Maybe you trade one of them if they don't play well in this preseason, something like that, and then you have Jake.
Right. But they hold down the fort.
Second guy. But I like the intangibles that this kid brings. When I watch him play, first off, he's fast, okay? Mm-hmm. So that's the part where, this part of the game where NFL is now, you got to be able to get away from guys, as far as defenders. But I also think there's some intangibles that you can really coach up. So I think this is a safe pick in the 2nd round.
Or trading back into the 1st.
Or trading back into the 1st. That's what I was going to get at.
Yeah, I got you.
since he's at the
Jalen. The thing that you want, the thing that you can't miss on here, because you can argue for and against all their physical traits, right? I mean, Shador's the one who we wind up bringing up physical traits the most with. You need to have the guy who has, you cannot miss on the football character part of this. You cannot miss on the intrinsic motivation part of this, because that's whichever guy you pick, he's not going to play right away, right?
Correct.
So this guy has to be committed, and I mean poured totally into the process of eventually becoming that franchise guy. That's the part. So you better be digging deep on Jalen Milroe about what kind of guy is he? How much work is he going to put in when he's not the one who's in the spotlight? Sure. Tyler Shough, what kind of guy are you? Are you going to be doing the work? Are you going to be making sure that you tap into every resource you have to make sure you are making those leaps? That's where you have to get it right. Because right now, we're never going to come to consensus on their physical skills. People are going to say Tyler Shuck's too old. He's got injury history. You know, he had one bad throw at the combine where he was trying to experiment with the arm angle, right? And it was trending yesterday.
Doesn't matter.
I was like, what the hell are we doing with
this process here? He also threw on 60 yards at the combine. That was beautiful.
We are doing what we do every year. We are over-analyzing these guys like crazy. But
that's the biggest part for me.
And it's the most